Good morning, dear children. You are using so many things at your home, even if in the outside. Just in your mind, think of about all those things which you are using in your day-to-day life to lead a comfortable life. First thing, all the basic necessities. It may be the water you drink, it may be air you breathe, it may be the food which you are eating. All these are the basic requirements. Without these, we cannot sustain our life on the earth. Other than these, so many other things are there in your surrounding, in your home, even if you are using. As a student, you are using yourself. You will find behind each and everything, every item you are using, either it is being directly you are using from the nature or by using the natural things, all these are made. So you are guessing very rightly, dear children. Today we are going to discuss your first chapter, that is the resources and development. So before studying the chapter, you should know the meaning of resources. What are resources? We know when resources will be utilized properly, that will bring development. Development to the region where you are living, development to yourself, development to the nation, and as a whole, development to all the human beings who are living on this earth. So first you should know what are resources. Resources means anything available on the earth. 4-5 lines you should remember. Just 4-5 words can make it easy. It should be available on the earth. Anything available on the earth. Second one, that should satisfy your need. Anything available on the earth which satisfies your need, and certain conditions are there, like that should be technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable. What is technologically accessible? That means it should be located in such a region, whatever the technological know-how we have, the available technology, with the help of that we can easily use it. We can make or we can convert that natural resource into a useful resource. In the same way, economically feasible. What is economically feasible? That means whatever the monetary support we are having, with that available money, it should be achievable, or you can say it should be reasonable and culturally acceptable. As you know, throughout the world, people of different culture are living. Each of our culture is varying from the other. So it should be culturally acceptable. Just for example, that is your clothes we are using. It is being prepared from the cotton. So that cotton is a resource, natural resource, that is being produced from the cotton crop. Then it is being processed, clothes are made, and out of those clothes, whatever the costumes or different types of dresses are prepared, that is based on our cultural demand. Depending on our taste, depending on the taste of all human beings, different types of clothes are prepared, even if depending on the religion. So that is why it should be culturally acceptable. As you know, in the nature, resources are available. So there is a close interdependence between three things, like the nature, technology, institution, and who is at the center? We, the human being. We, the human being, the things which are available in the nature, with the help of technology, we are using them, and also we are creating certain institutions to interact with the nature, to use all these available resources for leading a comfortable life, to make our life easier on the earth's surface. So simply you remember this definition for your exam. So resources means anything available or everything available on the earth which can satisfy our need. But what is the condition? That should be technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable. So as a whole, the resources are classified into two groups, like natural resource and human resource. So even if we the human beings are also a natural resource. So in the natural resource, there are two categories of resources, renewable and non-renewable. Renewable, again it is classified into continuous or flow and biological. And non-renewable resources are classified into recyclable and non-recyclable. Everything we will discuss one by one. And as a whole, human beings are also, how they are a resource. Human, first thing, institutions or structure we have created, and the quality and quantity of human beings which are existing. Quality. Quality means here the skill we are possessing to use the resources, and quantity we have throughout the world. It is more than 7 billion of people, and each and every individual is having a quality, a skill to utilize the same resource in a different way. So that's why that is also, we the human beings also are a very important resource. So then we'll go to classification of resources. We'll discuss one by one. So on the basis of origin, the easiest classification you have studied in standard 8 earlier. On the basis of origin, there are two types of resources. What are the two types of resources? Biotic and abiotic. Biotic resource and abiotic resource. Biotic, that means the resources which have life, they are known as biotic resource. That means they are a very important part of the biosphere. As you know, biosphere is the sphere of life. So they are obtained from the biosphere. So living things means what it includes. It may be plants, it may be animals, it may be the variety of fishes which you are eating, or whatever the microorganisms are existing. We the human being, we ourselves, all we are biotic resource. Then abiotic resource, this A stands for absence of life. That means all the non-living natural things are known as abiotic resource. It may be the mineral, it may be the soil, it may be the water. All these are abiotic resources. And it may be biotic, it may be abiotic. Both are very important part of the nature and helps in maintaining the ecological balance, which in turn helps in balancing the ecology or ecosystem. And the next classification on the basis of exhaustibility. On the basis of exhaustibility, again there are two types of resources. In standard 8 you have studied the same thing as on the basis of renewability. Same thing, just written in a different way. In the basis of exhaustibility, it is of two types of resources. What are the two types of resources? One is renewable, so easy, renewable, and second one is non-renewable. So as you know, renewable, from the name you can understand the resources which can be renewed either naturally or physically, chemically or mechanical processes are going on nature. If it can be reproduced, that is known as renewable resource. Some resources are there, they take a very longer period of time to be renewed. Suppose for soil. Soil takes a long period of time to be formed in a thin layer. The fossil fuels, they will take a very long period of time. That's why they are included in the non-renewable category. So if you say what are the non-renewable resources? Non-renewable resources means which cannot be renewed within a short period of time. Just compare fossil fuel and the water. Water is getting renewed within a short period of time in the nature. Water is natural, fossil fuel is natural. So just compare. Both are resource, both are natural. But water takes a short period of time to be renewed, whereas fossil fuels takes millions of years to be renewed. So many generations will be over. That is why that is included in non-renewable category. This Renewable resources are also known as replenishable resources because it is again available to us. Solar energy every day available to us. Solar energy, wind energy, water, these are renewable resources or replenishable resources. But if I think about the non-renewable resources, there are certain resources which can be recycled, like your metals. It may be gold, it may be silver, it may be iron. These resources can be recycled and can be used again and again. So the next category is on the basis of ownership. The third classification on the basis of ownership. Who is the owner? On that basis, there are again 4 types of resources. It is very important, all of you should understand it properly. On the basis of ownership, there are 4 categories of resources. First one, individual. Individual resources. So if I think about the individual resources, that means it belongs to an individual or to a family. Think about your own parents. Your parents possesses certain land. It may be land property, it may be a house, it may be a pond. Whatever your parents are having as their own personal property, that is the individual resource. So the resources which belongs to an individual, that is called individual resource. Simply you can remember. If we go to, it differs from cities to villages. If we go to villages, a person may have like a plantation site, the person may have a pasture land, the person may have like a pond where fishing is going on. So that's why those are their personal resource. But if we go to urban areas, those who are living in apartment, what is their personal property? The same flat in which they are living, or the parking area which they are only the owner of that. So that is why only those are their private property. Private property means individual property here. So if you think about the next category is community owned resources. Community, what do you mean by community owned? Community owned means, first thing, community means a group of people. That means the resources which belongs to a group of people, that is known as community owned resource. How one resource can belong to a group of person? Suppose it may be village, it may be a city. You will find a common playground for everyone. That means the playground can be used by all the people living in that particular area as a community resource. The burial sites, that is a common resource. The pond in a village, that is a common resource for the community people who are living there. So that is why all these are known as community owned resources. That means the resources which belong to a group of people or to a community, to a society, that is called as community owned resource. And the very important here, you should understand what is national. There is 2 categories in this on the basis of ownership. You should understand this one, national and international resource. What is national resource? Same from the name. As individual, owned by individual. Community owned, that means owned by the community as a whole. National also, each and everything existing in a nation, within a nation, that belongs to the nation. That is called national resource. It may be water resource, it may be forest resource, it may be the land area. Everything belongs to the nation technically. But we the people, we have owned certain our personal resources by paying certain revenue. So, but if you think about the oceanic resources, all the countries do not have oceanic resources. Think like India, like country. So we have a very long coastal line. In that ocean, up to 12 nautical miles. Suppose this is the coastal area. Here up to 12 nautical miles, it is called as territorial water. That means it belongs to the nation. It is around, that means in kilometer, if we will explain, that is around 22 kilometer. In the oceans, it belongs to the nation, or it is known as territorial water. That means Basically, suppose here is your Tamil Nadu, it belongs to Tamil Nadu, but as a whole it is also the national property. Again, in the same up to 200 nautical miles. This 200 nautical miles, or it may be more than 370 kilometer, that is known as the national resource or the exclusive economic zone of a country. Only one condition is applicable here: if the country is a coastal, is having a long coastline, it is located near a coast, not those who are landlocked countries. The next one, international resource. International resource means the resources which are owned and managed by the international institutions. International resource, from the name, international resources. So these resources specially that belongs to the oceanic resources. It's not about the land. It is about the oceanic resources. And suppose, just again same example, this is your India up to 12 nautical miles. This is the territorial water up to 200 nautical miles. This is the exclusive economic zone of the country, and beyond these 200 nautical miles, the water which is existing, the ocean, that oceanic resources is known as international resources. That any country can use that with the permission of international institutions. For each and every aspect, it may be for health, WHO is there. It may be for education, UNESCO, education, culture, UNESCO is there. In the same way, for different areas, different international institutions are there who are looking after the smooth running of all these factors internationally, globally. So that is why international resources are also being regulated by international institutions, and if you have to use that, you have to take permission from them. And the last category, on the basis of development, the resource or status of development, the resources are again classified into 4 types. So what are on the basis of development? What are the 4 categories? It is also very easy. Sometimes students get confused. This is on the basis of status of development. First one, potential. You have also studied in the previous classes. What are potential resources? That means whatever the resources available in any part of the country, if it is not in use, that is called a potential resource. We have the technology, we know how to use that, we know it is available, but still for certain reason we are not using. That is called a potential resource. Just you can compare. Suppose we are more depending on fossil fuels rather than solar energy or wind energy. But as you know, India is having such a long coastal line, and half of India is tropical, as Tropic of Cancer is passing through it, and it is receiving so much of solar energy. So both solar energy and wind energy can be produced in such a huge quantity, but still actually in the present we are depending more on fossil fuels. So that is why they are called as potential resource. Then the next category is developed resource. What is developed? Otherwise you can say these are the actual resource. That means presently we know in how much quantity these are available, what is its quality, everything is known to us through a thorough survey, and presently we are exploiting these resources to meet our requirements. So these are the developed resources. And the next category is your stock. Stock resource. What is a stock resource? That means we know that this resource is available, but only one word you remember here: technology. We don't have the technology to access this resource, to utilize this resource. That is why it is a stock. It is kept reserved for the future days to use. When we will have that technological know-how, or when that technology will develop, we will able to use it. So as we know, water is a compound of both carbon, that is a compound of oxygen and hydrogen, but still presently we are not using H2O. Hydrogen and oxygen both are inflammable gases. Those can be converted to extract energy, but still in present we are not able to do so because we don't have the technology. Even if under the deep oceans, in the interior of the earth, so many resources are found, we don't have the technology to access those. So sometimes they are also can be considered as a stock resource, which we are not able to use presently. And the last one, reserve. The reserve resource, reserve means we have the technology, we know the resource is found, still we have kept it reserved for future days. Like your parents are keeping your bank accounts, savings in your bank accounts for your future use. Suppose you are studying in now standard 10th. After that you will go for higher education. So for obtaining higher education or pursuing the higher education, you need more and more money. So at that time, more money is needed by your parents to meet this requirement, to fulfill your educational persuasion. So that's why they have kept certain savings for your future use. So that is in reserve form. FD करके रख दिए ताकि in future they will use it. So in the same way, these resources are in reserve. What electricity can be generated from a river which is flowing through a region, but still it is not done. Why? It is kept as a reserve, because whatever is available right now, that is fulfilling our requirement. Not more is needed. When more and more will be required, depending on that, all other available resources will be utilized. So simply remember this reserve and stock. Never be confused in the exam. Here the word T is there. So in the exam, while writing this stock resource, always mention we don't have the technology to access these resources. And in reserve, it is a subset of stock. So we have technology, we know resources are available, still we are not using. We have kept it as a stock, you can say reserve for our future use. So dear children, go through your book. It's a very easy concept. You will understood everything when you learn line by line for standard 10. It is very much necessary that you should study line by line. So thank you.